Thank you very much, Gwen. I think picking up the theme that Gwen started with, particularly with gold equities or earlier stage exploration gold companies, is the status quo has to change. With gold moving up $200 to $300 in the last few weeks, either equities have to come up and meet that gold price, or alternatively the gold price has to come back down. But with the background of the inflation that was demonstrated in Gwen's presentation and we're all seeing in everyday life, there's a bit of a fallacy when you invest in gold stocks that, well, all of a sudden everything's going to work, everything's going to be economic. I can go for any low grade, low quality project out there and I'm going to make money in a rising gold price. And that's where inflation is a real killer, because just as the gold price moves up, inflation in wages, inflation in fuel is going to bring up the cost of production right behind it. It has every time throughout history. And so always quality and always margin should be the first things you look at when you're looking at your potential gold investments. And that's what we built Heliostar around, is high margin ounces. We're after projects that we think will make money in any gold cycle, and particularly in the gold cycle that we think might be coming over the next few years. So regardless of what investment you're looking at in any hype that will come with generalist interest in our sector again, quality will always talk, because quality is margin and margin is profit. So to introduce Heliostar, we have a flagship asset, which is the long-term reason I think you should own Heliostar shares. It's a multi-million ounce potential project in Alaska. It's got 384,000 ounces of extremely high grade in resource at 13.8 grams. But what we see is a district that we've demonstrated last year and will look to continue this year showing has a lot more scope. We're there because we think there's a very, very big prize at Unga. In the short term, we have a project in Mexico that we're drilling. We'll introduce that and show you why we're excited about the targets that we've got there. Our brand, I think, is finding really exciting exploration projects and bringing them through from advanced stage into big discoveries. I think a few people will know my background with Vizsla, where I sit on the board. So we've done it before and we see exactly the same potential in the portfolio that we have. Of course, your share structure is critical as a base to build off with these projects. We've got a really tight shareholding with only 43 million shares out to 52 fully diluted, which would bring in about $5 million. Most importantly, we've got our money where our mouth is. The board owns a fifth of the company, so it's very easy to demonstrate alignment. We believe Heliostar is the vehicle where we can make a lot of money, but more importantly, where we build our reputation. So we're lucky that we have strong board support and ownership. We have high net worth investors like Eric Sprott and John Tognetti, and then we're rapidly building the institutional support in the company. In terms of leadership, ultimately you're backing the team. I touched on my background, major mining companies and most recently Vizsla. If you look at our board, really deep financial expertise, mine building with William Lamb, and strong technical abilities. So a board that is built for a company much bigger than our current market cap, and I think speaks to our ambition. But at the end of the day, you live and die by your projects, and that starts at Unga. I spend a lot of time describing Unga is not the project that most people think when they think of an Alaskan property. Yes, it's got that elephant-sized potential, but you can land a 737 on the project. It's down in the Alaskan Peninsula. It's much more temperate. It's got weather more like Vancouver and Seattle. You can explore from April till the end of November. So I spend a lot of time describing our property as being very different from the common perception of an Alaskan project. I think the last geographical reference, it's further south than the Golden Triangle in BC. So it surprises people that the ease to work here is a lot higher than first perception. It was Alaska's first underground gold mine, so it's got a history of mining. And incredibly, despite the high-grade resource, despite the old mine, it's only had less than 50 holes drilled outside of the resource in its entire history. So you've got a massive land package, 4 times the size of Manhattan Island, and we're really just scratching the surface. We've drilled as many metres in 18 months as has been drilled in a generation. And that's the scale of the opportunity that we see here. If you look at that scale with some other common reference points, every chart here is showing the veins of some major fields at exactly the same scale bar. I touched on Panuco, where I led the discovery, and it's just short of a $500 million company today. And then a well-renowned geologist compared it to Cerro Moro and Comstock. And that's not just me promoting, that's someone who's, Jeff Hedenquist is an expert in this field, and they're very big boots to fill. Some days that's a bit daunting. But realistically, the only difference is these districts have had tens of years and hundreds of millions of dollars spent on them. And we're just scratching the surface at Unga. And so we don't have time in this presentation to delve right into the detail, but this is what we did last year with our 2021 drill program. We moved away from the resource, which is open to grow. The deepest hole in the resource is 5.5 metres at 24 grams gold. So that shows the potential to grow SH1. But what we wanted to show was that there's a lot more scale. And so we made a discovery at Aquila along strike in late 2020. We stepped underneath, we hit, we stepped along strike, we hit in 4 holes. So we've got 120 metres of mineralisation, open to surface, open at depth, and that's our first target when we head back this year. We talked about the old mine at Apollo, where the old timers produced high-grade ore for about 20 years, and then they got base metal with the gold, which meant they couldn't recover it. Today, with flotation, it's very easy. But they left behind this sort of treasure map of where we can go and look for more. And incredibly, we're the first company to drill the extensions of the old mine in 100 years. And we drilled holes like 3 metres at 88 grams gold, 4.5 metres at 19 grams gold. In fact, there's a little nugget in our press release, in our corporate presentation. To the west of the old mine, it was lost in a fault. And the very last hole of the program, we drilled 4 holes looking for where we thought it was, and we drilled 1 hole in the opposite direction at the very end of the season last year. We drilled 1.5 metres at 5 grams. By itself, not a home run, but we worked out the vein dips the other way than everyone expected to the west. And we've opened up a 2-3 kilometre corridor that's open to the west of the mine. So I could talk for hours and days about the targets and the potential here, but what I'm trying to show is we've got lots of high-grade open gold intercepts. Our plan is to go back starting in July. We've secured a drill rig, which is actually no mean feat, given how tight it is in Alaska and Canada at the moment. And, sorry, we're still having a couple of issues. And we'll be back in July expanding upon those open intercepts with a goal of delivering a resource upgrade in 2023. So we're not just focused in Alaska, because there's a perception that if you're focused in Alaska that you're seasonal and people can sell and forget your stock. So we manage that with the 9-month field season. We also have a portfolio of earlier stage but still really exciting projects in northern Mexico. And the reason you should own Heliostar shares now is because we're drilling at Kumaro as we speak. In fact, our project is surrounded within, it's within trucking distance of 3 mills. So it's got a much lower economic hurdle than a lot of exploration projects. But if we zoom in to just talk about Kumaro, where we're drilling at the moment, you can see we own the area in yellow 100%, and we're surrounded by Silvercrest on 3 sides. The district's a productive district because there was a mine in the 80s and Silvercrest put out results along strike from our property. And we found some really nice targets in the east and some high-grade gold and silver in the west. We put out news from the first results of the program a couple of weeks ago, and we had a really good target on surface, but to be honest, we didn't get good results underneath. The vein shut down. So we take shots in exploration, and we missed, and our share price came off a bit, which actually represents probably a pretty good opportunity, because we've got 4 more targets as we drill Basatigui, Dos Amigos, Palmita and El Salto, directly along strike from proven mineralisation, and we expect to have those results in 6 to 8 weeks. So if you're thinking about getting exposure to gold, as I said, chase quality, which for me is high-grade, large deposits. If you're looking for teams to back, we've had success. We're really strongly motivated to do it again. And we see in Unga, particularly in Alaska and Mexico, some really exciting projects with news over the next few months, and then doubling down on open gold intercepts in Alaska in the summer. We expect 2022 to be a really exciting year for us. And we think this, as opposed to last year where we put out good results, we might be doing it with a tailwind, which is going to make it a lot more exciting for investors. Thank you.